but this is an opportunity for the guard to push forward. We have to spray through the wall as well. Oh, the body of the gunstick sells with Dapper falls. Another shot from Saya player. Only 2 more to go. Tens and Shazam. No Hunter's Fury as Shazam needs to get the kill to activate it on a 4 versus 2. A 0 point comes out and Tens is posted with this op. Looking back towards Snowman. Waiting for Saya player. They both get a kill. It's a 2 versus 2. Now we're pushing forward on a 1 versus 1. It's Trent. It's Tens. Trent is moving forward. The swing. He gets the kill. We're going into overtime.
Incredible play, down to the last drop. You can't ask for anything more, and it to be Tens as well.
So today, of course, there is only one thing to really talk about, and that is Shroud's return to pro play and his first game on Sentinels. And it's their game against the Guard, and we'll be taking a look at the third map, Icebox, which was incredibly close the whole way through, as we'll see at the end. But a really tense game to watch throughout, and had some really insane moments in it. And let's start with this: the Guard on their attacking side, Sentinels are defending. Round number 9, and this was a bit of a swingy game back and forth. This round is actually going to be the 6th of 7 rounds in a row that the Guard would win. Sentinels started off winning the first 3. They would then, win the last 2 of this half as well. So it was kind of a momentum, kind of swingy game overall. But this was kind of the Guard when they were really starting to feel it. And they're going to actually do something which is pretty rare. They're going to do a successful mid-B split on Icebox. Generally, going mid on Icebox is a death sentence. That's why most teams kind of avoid it. But the Guard's comp does allow them to do it because they are playing the Brim. And we'll explain in this round why that is so important. So let's take a look at this round and how it goes then, because we're actually going to start off with a bit more of a default look. Almost looks like a normal map here, but we're going to send Prowler out early here. We're going to get Knife from both teams, a Dart in here as well. Nothing too crazy early on, right? Just finding that early info for both sides. And we're going to end up with Sire in this position in mid, where he's just checking with his op to see what is going on. But what we're going to get soon, because he's not going to see anyone, is this second Prowler here. We actually had a Brim Smoke in here as well, just to allow them to sneak up. And Trent is about to send his Fade Horn on the top there, as you can see, and it gets destroyed. So now they're ready to go. So what's going to happen here is Trent's going to ult towards the B site there. We're going to pop the KO ult, and we're ready to go in for the Guard. So you're going to see the Fatal is about to come out just there. But crucially, and this is why the Brim is so important to this whole thing, as the KO ult goes off as well, is normally these mid-B splits, or really just going mid in general on Icebox, doesn't work. But when you're coming through here, as the attacking team and the bulk of your forces running through there, the problem is, as you run through this, there's just too many angles to have to worry about, right? There's this one where Shazam kind of is now. There's on the top of Nest. There's all of these angles below. You could potentially be below here as well. And so there's just too many different angles where you can't check both. They're not in your field of vision together. They're on different elevations potentially as well. It's just kind of too much to really worry about, to be honest. And then even as you push further deeper in, you have to worry about the open grate part and people getting killed there. That actually happened to Sentinels late on in the game in overtime at one point as well. So there's just a bit too much to worry about most of the time. But the Brim does allow you to smoke. I mean, you can see this here, smoke both of these off, which does eliminate, kind of the most common angles that people will play here for you. And you can see that Shazam is going to be smoked off there. And so this allows you to kind of alleviate, a lot of kind of the core problems that you might have with this kind of normal mid-B split. And so that allows them to get out. And, a lot of people tend to die right here, but they actually do manage to get out. Saya crucially gets that first kill on Shazam here in Kitchen as well. And now you can see that they're coming in on to the site. Tens is just going to miss that shot, but then Shroud, because obviously there's so much pressure coming towards the site, he then has to push out and he runs straight into Trent. There's kind of, he's been there the whole time, and so they actually managed to get the spike down. Now, Sire is actually going to die here to Zelsis just there, and they are going to get a res off, but now you are running into a bit of a problem. They have a lot of space that they have to retake now. These Guard players could be anywhere. Trent is actually going to go on the flank, but Dapper is going to put up this wall. Quite ingenious, really. So that's going to force Trent to actually run all the way around. It's actually not going to matter, though, because Valen is just going to go crazy and just win the round on his own, pretty much, as they pop the KO ult as well. But it doesn't matter, as you see the spray there comes out, and he manages to get all 3 kills. Really good from Valen there to end it. But actually a successful mid-B split, which is a pretty rare sight on Icebox overall, and really it's largely helped by the Brim. But now let's come to round 11, because whilst mid to B splits don't work very often, mid to A splits are almost impossible. And the Guard are actually going to get further than most here in this round, but still, It never works. In fact, I think I have literally only ever seen one round where a mid to A split has ever worked. So what's going to happen in this one is we're going to get early Viper split. We actually get an early Brimble, and this was very confusing to me, especially considering what they decided to do with this mid to A split. That was very confusing. Sentinels actually decided to put up this Sage wall, which I was very glad that they did, because they kept kind of getting owned on B eventually. But this Sage wall just kind of, you know, stopped them getting early progress towards B, and often Trent was just here on his own to start. So that meant that just any early pressure towards B was just completely gone, right? It means that the Sage, as you can see, can focus in on mid instead, because this wall is still there. Eventually, Trent does destroy a bit of it. He gets the Prowler out there as well, and the guard here, they just kind of hold as they are going to go for this mid to A split. But you see the Sentinels actually kind of expect that this could be the case, as you're going to see, because Dapper throws in a slow orb to slow them even more. You see he's spamming there. He does actually manage, they do manage to get a couple tags on them, and eventually Shazam is going to see that, yeah, they are here, right? And so they start to come through. Now, normally this is where everyone dies, right? Normally this cross for the attackers here is absolutely suicidal. But again, the Brim does allow you to double smoke, as you can see there, and actually ferry you across. The problem is, well, I mean, you're still going to have a couple problems really here as they're trying to do this mid-split here. One is that Trent is just trying to, hoping that, you know, everyone's kind of rotated, but actually he's just going to run into tens and die. And the thing is now, these players, right, even if there isn't a Viper's Pit here, I've seen some people saying like, oh, without the Viper's Pit, this would have worked. Not really, because what would have happened without the Viper's Pit is most likely these two just push A main. Let's say, you know, they go 1-for-1 for Sire, most likely, right? And then the problem is these guys still have to deal with the guy in A main whilst people are coming behind them. And they can't plant the spike in an open position because they don't have a main, right? So this is kind of like just all of the problems that you run into. And with this Viper's Pit, it ends up even more horrifically for them, really, because look at where they have to plant. How are you meant to play post plant all the way down there on the bottom of the site? You just don't, essentially. You know, you can't play a post plant really there. And so you're going to see they don't really know where to go. They don't really know where to look, these guard players. You know, you end up in just such a weird situation. You're worried about behind, but you're also worried about the Viper's Pit. It's kind of like just an impossible situation to win. So eventually they just end up getting mopped up, basically, as they end up looking the wrong way a lot of the time and dying to people behind them, not even getting shots off. Sire ends up in a 1v5. He does manage to get a nice kill there, but obviously, again, the spike is planted at the very back of the site. They never could have won this round, really, and mid to A splits just don't work for that reason. You can't get a good post plant. Getting there is almost impossible anyway, and you probably do need a Brim to even do it. So yeah, there's just too many challenges for it, and ultimately Sentinels would win the round. But now let's come to round number 14, and I've seen a lot of people talking about this, and rightfully so, because it was kind of a big theme of Sentinels' attack side, and that is their struggles with getting the spike down. And this is round 14, so Sentinels have won the attacking pistol round, and the guard only have classics, right? They don't have any guns, but you're going to see, even though they don't have any guns, they are going to still very much struggle with getting the spike down. And this was a common theme. So the guard are just going to like take a risk, you know, just with a bunch of classics. They're just going to walk up as a team. They actually just missed the timing on Dapper crossing across there. But he does manage to get across, and the guard are going to like stack towards B because they feel like, you know, they've guessed the right site and whatnot. And they kind of have a feeling that that is where the Sentinels are going to go. But Sentinels are going to come in. They're going to drone. They're going to clear it all. But Dapper's going to go for this more aggressive wall, okay? And he was doing this wall quite a lot, right? Not the kind of normal wall that comes across here. And the thing about this normal wall that, you know, a lot of teams will do across this way instead is that you can plant, you know, in different areas, right? You can kind of play a bit of a game of cat and mouse on where exactly, which segment of the wall you're planting behind. The thing is with this wall, though, is it's pretty obvious which one you're going to plant behind. And so you're going to see that even with classics, the guard are just going to destroy this one segment, and Dapper's going to die before he plants the spike. And they kept doing this wall, and it kept punishing them deeply, because what would happen is after Dapper gets punished for this one, they tried this wall next time, and they tried this in a later round, and Shroud ended up planting down here instead in kind of a little cubby. The guard almost got a defuse off hiding behind Sentinel's wall whilst defusing. It was kind of chaotic, and it was against a save as well, so that wasn't great for Sentinels. But you're going to see they just break the one wall segment, and actually Dapper dies there. And now, to be fair to the guard, they destroyed the wall very early, and they also had, you know, some good utility usage like this, where Shroud, even though he does get the spike down, also dies to a Brim Molly. And this kind of thing was happening a lot, right? And it wasn't great. But we ended up in this situation. Now, they are still against classics, so they are going to manage to win this round still, because, you know, they are still against classics. So, you know, it wasn't the hardest round in the world to win, even in a 5v3. But, you know, it got a lot closer than maybe it should have, and it was kind of a good theme for, like, you know, what happened in this half, where Sentinels just continually struggled over and over and over again to actually manage to, you know, get the spike down safely. And now let's come to round 22, because it did take a long time for Sentinels to figure out kind of a separate plan of how to deal with these spike plant issues, but eventually they kind of figured out just in time, because we're here at 12-9, and we're going to see that they do come up with a bit of a different plan as Jonah kind of gets some spam off there and almost gets a kill from it. The KO knife comes in, pushes him back, and they are going to come towards this B site again. But this time they are going to have a bit of a different plan. It's going to work better, and I'm kind of surprised it took them this long to really figure this out. But in comes the drone, and they're going to do the same wall, and the same thing's going to happen where the guards straight away are ready to spam. Jonah P's going to get ready to do his molly as well as soon as the wall is down, but Sentinels this time are going to push past and actually get a bit more aggressive and, you know, wrap around instead, right? And I'm surprised that they didn't do this before, to be honest, because as I said, it just seems like a good idea. So you see the wall already gets destroyed. Jonah's ready to do his little molly, but Zelsis is already, you know, killed him, right? He's already wrapped around, he's already dead. So they get a bit aggressive. Now, Dapper does end up dying there, but they're about to find a second kill as well, because they don't stop with the aggression. Tense is going to catch Valen off guard there. We end up in a 4v3, and this is something that I think they should have done straight away. They get the spike down because they'd taken that extra space, right? You can't worry about killing the spike planter if, you know, you're getting killed yourself. So that works out pretty well for Sentinels there. But in a 4v3, we are about to see, well, a good trade here from Tens, but then Tens is going to make a pretty crucial mistake, and that is wanting to fight in this 3v2. When the spike is planted here, all Tens has to do is just hold this. He needs to just sit back here, not look at anyone, and just watch this space. That is all his job now needs to be, because if he stays alive, this is impossible for the guard to win, right? With where the guard are right now, if Tens is just here watching this way, they can't win because the spike is planted there and you can just have a crossfire here. And what do? Right? How can you can't fight literally back to back there, you know, it's not going to work. But for whatever reason, Tens is going to decide to take another fight instead, and he's going to lose it, and he makes it a pretty losable round all of a sudden, right? It's gone from like unlosable to all of a sudden in a lot of jeopardy, and also Shroud dies as well. So we end up with Shazam kind of on his own here, and he actually ends up dropping his Guardian for a Bulldog, but it's kind of a game of Ring of Rosie, right? Because Net kind of has to guess which way Shazam is going to come. He guesses wrong, so Shazam manages to get the first kill. It did get to half, but then he darts out, and he sees that Net isn't on it, and he plays it really well, Shazam, and he does manage to clutch it out there. Overall, you know, a better round from Sentinels. I was happy that they finally decided to push further on. That was a really good idea, and we saw them get rewarded for that, but there still was some mistakes in there, and obviously we did need a bit of a hero play from Shazam to win that round. But then, of course, the prodigal son returned and had this moment in round number 25, because what's going to happen here again, we get this early smoke, same wall that we talked about earlier from Sentinels, and Trent again is left to kind of destroy on his own, but the guard are going to decide to come towards B this round, so they send out the early Prowler, and they are going to come towards B. Now Sentinels, you know, are going to play a bit more of a kind of a retake look on B. As you can see, they were very concerned about mid, as you can see from these three here, all kind of watching it, and the drone going down there as well, but the drone doesn't actually see anyone there, and so you know, they do perhaps start to feel like this could potentially be something else, but you can see they are still pretty worried about anyone lurking up towards mid or coming towards mid at all. But actually, as you can see from here, the guard are just going to come towards B. They're going to send in a knife that's going to land on the top of this box. You even get a dart out here from Shazam as well. Little KO knife on there. On A, doesn't see anything. So now Sentinels kind of know, yeah, this is a B hit. The smoke comes in here from the brim as well. Knife comes up, but just before the knife hits, we get this nice Sage Slow into Viper Molly to stop any early plants. We get a Fade Horn up here as well. But in come the guard, right? As you can see, KO nade, another brim smoke down there, and what this brim smoke allows them to do, of course, again, they were getting pretty good value out of the brim, is again push deeper, right? And we saw both teams kind of get rewarded for this, and they catch Dapper off guard there. Valen is able to get Zelsis as well, but it is traded out by Shroud. Now Shazam, not his best look. He's going to shock dart himself twice because of this brim smoke. He can't see exactly where he should be shooting it, but then a bit of a mistake by the guard here as Jonah is planting, right? So he's planting here, but you see that all three players are just hiding here, and no one is watching the top of nest for him, and so obviously without a Sage, you know, Shazam gets pretty much a free kill there. So we end up in a 3v3. with the spike down, and well, we're about to see our hero make his play, because S10s eventually is going to come and rejoin the rest of the Sentinels team. We send out a dart, and it's going to get a bit chaotic, I think, overall. Knife gets destroyed there. We're going to get a Fade Horn eventually that I think does start revealing some people, as you can see just there. But in we go. Saya misses that shot. That's pretty crucial, but now Shroud is about to just work his magic and just kill everyone, basically. Trent had gone crazy against Shroud and was like 17-0. I think it got even more than that at one point. Just in like Shroud versus Trent was absurdly one-sided. I don't even know how that happened, because he was pretty even against everyone else, but then Trent just destroyed him. But he does manage to kill Trent in this crucial moment, and manages to get Sentinels the round. But ultimately, the guard would manage to equalize and then even take the lead in the second round of overtime, and we end with round number 28, where Sentinels are going to come towards B. It actually starts with some little mid-aggression here from Tens. He's going to go destroy the chamber trap in towards kitchen, and then teleport back towards safety, just to create that question mark that someone could then go and lurk there if they wanted to. And so, you know, the guard have to keep their eye on that. Sire actually went for the naked up, but does miss his first shot, and now with that control gained by Sentinels, they're going to drone in, and Sire eventually will be forced to teleport away, as you see there, and they're going to just play for a full 5-on-5 retake here, are the guard. But again, we're going to see these same problems from Sentinels kind of cost them, where Dapper puts up this kind of different wall this time. This one across here, again, I was kind of surprised by this. I was kind of hoping, again, that they would do this wall, and again, try and push down here, right? Maybe KO Flash, take that control, plant the spike here, and then have this really nice crossfire. You know, that's kind of what I was hoping that they would do, right? To try and solve these issues, but again, they go for this kind of weirder wall. But again, Shroud is the one with the spike rather than Dapper, right? So it's going to take them a while because this wall now is down, so Shroud needs the wall back up to come across here, whereas if Dapper had the spike, you know, he'd already planted it, and we're in overtime, so it's not like one, you know, everyone is 3 ult orbs away from their ult, so it's not like there's an excuse there either. So I'm kind of a bit, you know, perplexed as to why Shroud does have the spike, but eventually, you know, they do wait for the wall to come up, but that's given the guard now the time to fully rotate in. Shroud will get the spike down, and now we see some of the problems where Dapper is going to have to try and leave. He actually gets dinked down to very low health there, but now Shroud is also kind of stuck in this position here, right? And he actually, because the guard actually, this is kind of the first time they didn't destroy the wall, you know, Shroud is actually going to manage to find a kill here on Trent as he's reloading, but Saya managed to get that kill. But this is the kill, right? Net's kill on Tens here, waiting for this mid lurk. That was the important kill, and this is really the kill that kind of won them the round, because if Tens was, you know, able to lurk through mid, you know, he maybe gets a free kill there. So that was kind of the real crucial fight in the round. The Net is able to win there, and so we end up in this position 3v4. We actually get Dapper being hit there by a snake bite as well from Net, and eventually a nice KO nade comes at the back here, and they actually get a Viper's Pit off that kill on Shazam, and so we end up with Zelsis here in a 1v4, ends up in a 1v3, but he's just having to spam towards the spike. He doesn't quite manage to hit it, and Valorant sticks to the defuse. They win the round, and the guard will win the game. Overall, from Sentinels, definitely a lot better, and from the guard, I would say as well. Better than the stage 2, the overall in this game. Still definitely things to work on, things to improve for sure, but not a bad first attempt from Sentinels in Shroud's debut, but definitely some things to be working on.